Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Do you feel stuck, silent, and stressed? Is something hurting your heart and soul? Are you burning yourself out? If so, you are in the right place because this is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with inner peace and joy. Let's get started.
Hey, for the last few episodes, we have been talking about how to be happy secrets. Hey, this is one of my most favorite topics ever. Wow, because when you're talking about how to be happy, makes me happier. It's like, wow, it's just so awesome to understand that it really is something that we can control, that we can have power over, that, it's not something that needs to be left to chance. It's something that I can choose for myself and create for myself. And one of the most important, critical components that we need to have in place in our lives if we are going to choose to be happy and be able to effectively create the kind of happiness and inner peace that we want in our lives is to have a healthy relationship with ourselves. Right? We started talking about this last episode. Guys, if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, think about it. How is it possible for you to achieve any kind of happiness and inner peace that is sustainable? It's like if there's some people in your life who are negative, who have, a lot of tendency to be blaming and judging and be hating. You can make a decision. It may not be easy, but you can make a decision to just distance yourself from those people and to not be connected with them any longer. You can be like, hey, I never want to talk to you again. I never want to see you again. If needed, you could even move away physically to a different location so that you never have to physically see or hear from them again if you don't want to. But if the voice of blame and judgment is inside your head, how are you going to run away from it? See, and it's not a voice that is easy to ignore either. And it's a voice that knows exactly where each and every button is that turns you on and off. Right? So it knows exactly how to speak to you in ways that make you feel the worst. And you can't run away from it. And as long as you have that kind of negative voice running wild in your head, how are you supposed to experience inner peace and joy and happiness? How are you supposed to sustain it? So again, this is one of those things where it's not an option. If you want to be able to live happy and healthy and have inner peace and joy, you must have a healthy relationship with yourself. And in so far as your relationship with yourself defines the kind of relationships you have with everybody else, this is also where you must start. Because guess what? Like we were talking about in the last few episodes, we've started talking about how healthy relationships are absolutely crucial. Because look, we can't survive on our own. It's just not the reality of our lives, of our world, and the way that things function in our lives. So we need healthy relationships, but you have to begin with your relationship with yourself. Until you address the relationship with yourself, the quality of your relationship with yourself, you are going to find yourself continuing to struggle with all your other relationships. So let's take some time today and really look into what can you do to create a better relationship with yourself. So I was telling you last episode that look, if the problem is that you're fighting and blaming and judging yourself, then the solution is simple. Not easy necessarily to implement, but it is simple. It is simple, right? It's like, first of all, you need to stop fighting and blaming and judging yourself. But it's not enough to stop a bad behavior, because then it leaves a vacuum, and hey, again, it's one of the laws of nature. Like, vacuum is going to be filled with something or the other. A vacuum is not a sustainable way of being, right? So it's like, okay, if you're going to take something away, you better have something else to replace it with. And if you don't choose consciously what you're going to replace it with, something else will take the place. And my gosh, what if it's something even worse than what you removed in the first place? So you better be making conscious decisions about what you want to replace those negative behaviors and attitudes and habits with, right? So the positive way of treating yourself and being in a healthy relationship with yourself is really about treating yourself with loving kindness, treating yourself with empathy and compassion. For those of us, and I say us in a very conscientious way, because I was one of the people that for a long, long time, the vast majority of my life, actually, I did not have a healthy relationship with myself. I blamed myself, I judged myself, I had a lot of shame and guilt, that I inflicted on myself. I didn't care about my health, didn't care about the well-being of my body. So, look, I've been through all of those struggles. So, I say to you, for those of us who are in that kind of situation, oftentimes, it's very difficult for us to think about, okay, well, what does it even mean or look like for me to treat myself with loving kindness or compassion and empathy? Because we're just not used to it. So it's hard for us to even imagine what that might look like. So I learned this little trick from one of my teachers. And she said, okay, think about somebody that you really, really love in your life. And okay, so I was like, okay, who do I really, really love in my life? My mom is generally the first person who pops into my mind whenever I'm thinking of people that I love the most. It's like, okay, for me, I'm thinking of my mom. You pick somebody else. Look, if you can't think of any specific person in your life that you really, really love and care about, think of like a child. And it's the cutest, most adorable child you have ever seen. And imagine, like, just picture, I want you to picture an actual child that is the cutest, most adorable, lovable child that you can imagine. Like somebody with an actual face and hands and feet, a whole body. I want you to bring to your mind an actual person that you really, really love. Or just imagine a child that you can really, really, like, you look at them and you say, "Aw, they're so cute, they're so adorable, so lovable." So once you have this picture in your mind of a person you can love or that you do love, now imagine that this person is in some kind of trouble. In fact, if you can imagine that they are struggling with exactly the same problem that is giving you the most trouble in your life right now. So bring to your mind an issue that you are really struggling with right now, because of which you are blaming and judging yourself or feeling shame or guilt or regret, whatever it is. And now imagine this person that you love so much talking to you about having had that experience. And they're telling you, hey, I had this experience and now this is how I'm feeling. How would you respond to this person that you love so much, or to this child, if they were struggling with this kind of problem, with these kinds of feelings of blame and guilt and shame or regret or judgment? How would you help this person that you love so much? What advice would you give them? How would you treat them? How would you speak to them? It is very, very likely that when you are addressing this person that you love so much, and they're sharing their problems with you, their struggle with you, it's very, very likely that the way you respond to them is a response of compassion and empathy. It's very, very likely that, you find yourself feeling bad for them, feeling bad with them, and wanting to do something to help them feel better. And you get yourself thinking about potential solutions and options for how you can help them, for how they could help themselves, how they could feel better, what you could do to help them feel better, right? So now, as you begin to think about all of this, all of how you would help this person that you love so much, and as those ideas come to you of the specific things you would do and say to this person that you love, just take a note of them, like write them down if necessary. And then basically what you're going to do is apply all of that to yourself. So if this other person you love so much comes to you, and you respond to them with a feeling of, I feel your pain. I feel how terrible, I can see how terrible you're feeling. And it makes me feel bad too. You know what? That's exactly how I want you to talk to you. You're just like, oh, wow, I can see like how bad I'm feeling. This is like something that I'm going through that's really hard, that, is having a really hard impact on me. So I acknowledge that. And I accept that about myself, and I allow myself to feel that sense of empathy and compassion for myself. And then, when I think about this other person that I love and how I would help them, and I think about, how maybe I'd give them a hug, perhaps. Because, it's like for many of us, that's a very natural instinct, that when we see somebody in distress, somebody that we love and care about, we want to hold them. Give them some, show them like some kind of, that's just one way we can show them a sense of support and sense of like connection. Establish a sense of, hey, I'm connected with you in this moment. So, hey, guess what? If you would hug somebody else that you loved when they were in distress, I want you to hug yourself. And you can do it literally or figuratively, or go find somebody that can give you that hug that you need. Okay? So what else? What else would you do? What else would you say? What else would you tell this other person that you love so much about how they could help themselves? How they could help themselves feel better? And then I want you to do those very things for yourself. What would you tell them about what you could do to help them? And then I want you to do that to help yourself. Okay? So this is just like one technique that you can use to help you figure out how to act in a more compassionate, loving, kind way towards yourself. So just take some time right now to think about this, go through this exercise in your mind, write things out, like I said, if you need to. And then most importantly, make sure you actually begin to take action on these ideas that come up for you. Because if you don't act on the knowledge that you have, the information that you have, the ideas that you have, they're not going to make any difference in your life. So you need to act. So between now and when we connect again with our next episode tomorrow, this is, if you're willing to accept some homework from me, this is my homework assignment to you. All right. So, in the meanwhile, if you find yourself struggling to do this for yourself, please do not continue to struggle with this on your own. It's really, really important that you reach out for help and support. And I'm one person that you can reach out to for the help and support that you need. And you know how to reach out to me. Just go to my website at www.academyofthriving.com. Click on the Contact Us tab, and you'll see different options for how you can connect with me. That's your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Awesome. So until we connect next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.